Libra, yeah, I know. Don't worry. I'm going. How could I not do a Libra reading for Libra season? The World, Major Arcana. The Two of Cups in reverse. The Lovers. Nine of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles in reverse. And the Page of Swords in reverse. Two of Swords. Ignorance. Yep, this is the energy of how could I not see it? This means you're going to be confronted or have to revisit something or someone maybe coming around. There's some attempt, a very rude and inappropriate kind of an attempt or an offer of a kind of a romantical nature. For businesses, alliances, partnerships, contracts, offers. But it doesn't really amount to anything. It's refused from the get-go. They will meet resistance the moment they present it to you. Yes, a very brutal awakening for someone. They will see an aspect or side of you they never considered. They had an image. That's when you realize that their perception of you was one that was so far from truth. And then it hits you. I guess I deem them, smarter than this, better than this, and they deem me a lot more stupid than what I actually am. So yeah, revelation upcoming. Oh yes, inconsistent, dishonest, immature, inappropriate love or romantical offers, and you're looking at them like, seriously, really? Ten of Swords. And again, this rude awakening that puts an end to either a perspective of someone or relationships or love or romantical partnership in general. It reveals the nature of the Lulu that kind of took over you, as it did many others. You're starting to see the phenomena now. Wait a minute. What happened to us, right? What gives? How did we not see it? That's the energy. And again, it's not you. You realize that this is a phenomena, so you're not going to take it personally, you understand? That many others have had to go through the same kind of a trial. Nine of Pentacles, it means also the revelation of, hey, I'm fine on my own. I see now the freedom that I have on my own. And why I was actually being blessed. With the removal of someone from my life, or me choosing to do so, in order to protect said independence and freedom. And due to a realization, at least at a subconscious level, of not being able to build much with the person, as in either due to being incompatible, Two of Cups, Eight of Pentacles in reverse. A lack of connections in the heart. And to some extent, I believe you did recognize that the connection wasn't based on actual love, mutual respect, trust, honesty, and so on. Yeah. So what's coming is a final parting of ways with the revelation and putting an end to something. And again, this obviously implies a need to revisit, whether you revisit mentally, whether you find someone's number, or catch on some social media, whatever. Something brings to memory or has you revisit something that was yet to put to rest or let go of, or yeah. And this is that final moment. Whether you see one of their posts or an old picture and all of a sudden you're hit with, but I feel that they're going to try and communicate, some attempt of communicating. For others is the fact that they didn't, so you may take it upon you to try and convey something to them if something was left unsaid or unclarified or whatever. Not necessarily because you have expectations per se, but you just needed to say something. And the lack of maturity when responding, if should they choose to respond. But if there's that silence, is that silence that tells you everything you need to. Oh, okay, so I was dealing with an idiot all along. Yeah, they obviously don't care. Yeah, they never did. So, and the curious thing is that it's really the breaking down of an illusion, some form of a deception, self-deception, wishful thinking that wasn't founded in reality, because practical-wise, this was not going to lead anywhere. It wasn't feasible. And as for the heart, emotionally very toxic and unfulfilling, and you are out of alignment, even in the manners in which you love, your love language, etc., intention and desires, and right. So you didn't actually suffer because you recognize this as love. No. You suffered because obviously you didn't know what it was. Well, now you're about to know. Okay. So you're embracing your singlehood as a blessing and taking the opportunities to explore. Traveling may be involved, connection with people from other cultures, exploration. There's an openness and a sense of fulfillment, and it all starts to make sense. What's about to happen that comes as an ending. It also brings that clarity and a reinterpretation or a newfound feeling or perception about what has happened up until now. It almost seems as if it's literally changing the past, or rather your perception of it, your understanding of it. Wait a minute, I wasn't a victim. You see how things are reversed? Mind, heart. In your heart, you're literally seeing now why you didn't find your partner, and right, why you navigated or you attracted certain, manifest certain kinds of partners, marriage, and Page of Swords in reverse, issues with communication, dishonesty, maturity, lack of transparency and vulnerability, lack of knowledge, wisdom, or overall just intellectual ability here. It's not like you can get upset at someone because they don't have that degree, or because that's, it's judgmental. It's why would you be with someone that you cannot respect or you do not resonate with? And at the same time, why feel guilty if you don't resonate with someone because of you not resonating with them based on their capacity or nature? Or so it's not just about behavior or conscious choice, or no, it's about the very nature and current degree. And you're starting to realize, I was literally trying or hoping, or what was I trying to achieve here? Make a duck bark, or what? Put a dog on a leash. Put a duck on a leash and pretend it's a dog. It's kind of like, why was I asking something so unnatural or expecting it? Or why did I suffer because of not being able to achieve it, or so on? And because the person simply couldn't do it. They didn't have it in you. And vice versa, this also liberates you from whatever other obligations you feel you may have had or have towards the world, or things that you try to prove, or even things that you set out to achieve in hopes for you to have that sensation of fulfillment. So standards and goals that you set for yourself also seem to just fall on the ground. It's irrelevant. Little does it matter. I'm still me. And if that's the price of being true to yourself and the calling and that you have and the choices that you make, yeah, that's it, I guess. Hey, if you want to succeed, you got to be ready for failure. If you want to be old, you got to start becoming nothing. If you want to truly experience this journey as living or feeling alive, that, bliss, and then you got to kind of lose a bit of your mind in order to find yourself. If you want a life, you gotta die. 1,000, as many as necessary. Aspects of you constantly have to be let go of, have to go, in order to make space for the new self as you've transcended, and it grows out from the previous, or right, not necessarily directly from the cumulative of your experiences and so on, but ultimately from your very essence, based on what you are here to achieve and you're supposed to experience. So life, yeah, requires sacrifice of death. If you want to embrace or pursue a passion, it means you gotta at least temporarily suspend or let go of another, blah, 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 blah. Judication. You see what happened here? What the fuck happened here? How did we not see it? That we weren't compatible, that again, here seems that something contributed to your inability to actually use your better judgment, or not because you don't have it, it's because you were suspended or substituted by something else, some form of a desire associated with, that seemed to kind of translate as the end-all be-all. It's literal limerence or infatuation, or rather, putting all of your hopes in this one thing. Do or die kind of an energy. Is this, or it's not going to be no one? It's kind of a finality to it. And so when it turned out that it wasn't, you're kind of stuck. So wait a minute. I said that if it's not this one, there's going to be no other. What am I going to do now? So it was natural for you to attempt to turn it into what you... Then that failed. That there had no foundations for you to try and genuinely build some actual hope and start working on something. 8 of Pentacles in reverse and the 2 of Cups. The other person wouldn't work with you. They were, yeah. So then it turned into a simple, just wishful thinking. But it triggered your spiritual liberation here. You found yourself. Now your current self is obviously going to be anchored in the past. It's that very self that used to suffer once they looked at the past, that now looks at the past and realizes, wow, I did this. I never realized, but yeah. I freed myself. And I had help in doing so. You see the hand of God at work. You see the forces at work. You see even yourself, that self buried under fear, conditioning, trauma, expectations, needs, desires, that was courageous enough to defy themselves when they said, no, this is not right. This is, no, you went too far. This is way too far. I'm calling it quits, or I'm saying no. But in reality, you didn't want to. But you were strong enough. So you're patting yourself on the back as well for those small successes that at the time didn't seem as such. They felt like sacrifices. Now looking back, you see that those were actually your victories, which you perceived as failures. No, they weren't. It was the self victorious over the false selves. Those few times determined on whether you would have been able to free yourself, your actual higher self, right? Freed yourself from any other kind of a self trapped in something, or you would have chosen your own pain or suffering or prison. So you did still suffer, except you paid. That was the price for your liberation. And in some other cases, you see the weaknesses in not being able to overcome it, getting stuck in the suffering, the misinterpretation of the purpose of the suffering, and so on. Community. Again, traveling, connecting with people from learning to reconnect, socializing. Now you see why you needed to do all of this on your own, with no support whatsoever. Unexpected income, generosity and philanthropy, and working with others in exchanging of resources at whichever end of it you may be. right? Transference of assets, property, finances, money, goods, food, energy. Intention makes the difference, right? And official person. Okay. 9, 4, wealthy man, someone in a position of authority, mature, probably gray-haired. They can work a specific suit or attire for wear, pardon. They can wear a specific attire, or someone, usually maybe a public person, well known, at least in their community. They can be a social worker, military, ex-military, army, law enforcement. They can also be, of course, a lawyer, whatever. Either way, they seem to have some level of authority and respect within their community. Very well educated, stable, has traveled a lot as well. Very open and humble at the same time, extremely wise. Calm and balanced. Gentle, noble and kind, empathetic and intuitive. But also highly rational and severe, as in highly reliable. A great thinker, analytical in their nature. Has a social status or standing within their community, most likely also inherited to some extent, so they must come from a specific family, bloodline and tradition. This is a terrible change for you that you may struggle with accepting, actually. Yeah. Someone important will arrive in your life, Libras. For the masculines, it's you. That's someone important who will arrive in someone else's life as you engage in philanthropic or acts of kindness and generosity while offering support or opportunities to those around you. Tools, solutions, advice, provide some form of a service, or highly capable again. Main quality being, I guess, devotion, loyalty, trustworthiness, ever in service. Can also be scientist, IT worker. I'm just saying it now. Someone who, with their level of knowledge or skills, they could basically do a lot of things. That's kind of the thing, regardless of the current position that they occupy. Work-wise, they seem to handle more than one thing at a time. Yep. Either way, Libra, help seems to be coming by someone, from someone in a position to do so. Someone chooses to either support you or at the right time gives you the right advice, the right piece of information, the right assistance, that it's literally like manna, like God sent. It's going to be useful to you. The manner in which they deliver it, the manner in which they interact, and is beautiful because it has to do with who they are. It's non-judgmental. It's not necessarily personal per se. You're not being neither criticized nor judged, nor is it there's any expectation attached to it, no hidden agendas or ulterior motives. That's why you receive it in a different manner. Whatever it is, this is not that energy that we saw that you may perceive as humiliating or no. But it will trigger some call, some inner call for you to rise up to some form of a challenge. It's almost that energy of feeling inspired or in awe by someone, by what they embody, not the person necessarily, not physically, not, and you're like, wow, what an amazing soul. And it automatically calls you back to purpose, and it has you consider on what can you do, or how can you implement, where can you find the answers, the inspiration, to tap back into your own calling, because this is, you take it also almost as a synchronicity. This is it. This is it. I need to pay it forward. I've always wanted to do it, and now I see why everything needed to unfold up until this point, and this is my chance. Yes, but what? How? Right? So it will trigger some major changes that you are recognizing, yet you are unable to kind of grasp onto what those changes could be, what direction to take. So you will be needing to give yourself some time to process. Yes, one person can literally be that one person that inspires you, or motivates you, or reminds you of who you are, what your purpose is. And change in reverse, the 9. And there's also this recognize that there will be, your old self will defend itself, will protect itself, especially now that it's seeing, wow, I'm actually blessed to not have this or that, or etc. And it will defend itself. It will say, hey, you're good on your own, hey, it's fine. And you're like, no, there's something else I gotta do. It's time for changes. Courthouse in reverse, yes, struggling. And apparently you can continue to communicate with the person that helps you initially. To inquire, yeah, to allow yourself to be advised. In many cases, this can also actually be a therapist, a professional, a medic, a doctor, a health worker, again, a social assistant of some sort, social worker, etc., etc. It can also be, of course, an intellectual, a writer, a philosopher, an artist, a creator. Occupation in reverse, yep, you're struggling. Gift, why don't I find it? What is it? What am I supposed to do here? I want to work on something, again, that 8 of Pentacles, but how, what, on what? High honor, again, this energy of awe and being inspired. And so what you need is basically for you to rediscover what truly moves you, the things that you actually care for. Imprisonment, despair, toil and labor, and start working on it. Yeah, you will be successful. Whatever it is that you're going to start working on, it does imply the influence of someone that you, again, are hold in high regards, or I have the utmost respect for, and acknowledge, beautiful human qualities, traits, and so on. Excellency, the human level overall. And despite of whether they were useful to you or have helped you or not, just general wise, right? You recognize now those people, that we have a lot of them coming up, that are the new ruling class. But in reality, we shouldn't even call it ruling, because they're the leaders that didn't want to be leaders. They're rising from amidst the people to come to substitute, right? System has to be changed from within the system to substitute, even if it's a smaller level. You can see it all throughout the US. They're basically coming to candidates against those from the old and current still system. So changes are coming through, but they will be the most humble and unexpected, yet highly skilled, and at a human level, just all throughout, incredible, amazing people. And yeah, you may argue, what do they have to do with politics? And precisely, that's why we need actual humans in politics for a change. So they themselves would have never chosen or ever dreamt to get into politics. That's why we know that they're the new leaders. One thing substituted by the next. The humble, the hardworking, those that are not moved by mere greed, those that are grateful and satisfied with little, and they prefer to earn it themselves, those with healthy principles such as family, community, honesty, respect, so on and so forth. That's what we need. Compassion and just hard work. And you're gonna be, Libra, as part of that same collective. You will be called to start in a manner that appears quite challenging, but you will have support and counseling if you're courageous enough to accept it and to recognize those who are able to, at least mirror something about you back that you can start working with. A new self needs to arise, to be embraced now, right? And you will be uncomfortable with it. What if you're called to enter politics? What if you're called to be responsible for certain decisions that are made that may impact other people's lives and so on? Yes. And the very reason for why you would be called to do that is precisely because you do not want it. You've been prepared for it. You are part of that new system. Whether it's institutions, government, politics, healthcare, it doesn't matter, beauty, whatever it is. So you are called to walk an unbeaten path as you coming to almost as a correction, as a restoration, to bring back values, principles, truth, genuine beauty, to restore. So we will go against both the old self who will protect itself, worldview and so on, and anyone else who holds on to that same old reality, and against the very system itself that will refuse to give up. So you will need support. So you need people with integrity who speak your same energetical wise, same language, hold your same views to some extent. As in, they're moved by the same force: love, empathy, unity, community, expansion. Because you are one of the golden ones. Reinterpretation of abundance, prosperity, worth, value, etc. For example, money is worthless. It's what we do with it, right? So it's a redefining or giving its proper due value and worth there where there is, right, some. So raising to positions of authority those who actually understand, grasp these concepts. Beautiful. So it's purpose. You're called to purpose, and to some extent what you are called to do no longer needs to stem out of lack. The focus is not out of lack, but rather towards expansion, with being fearless when it comes to the challenge that's presented in front of you. Again, with humility, with hard work and consistency, with faith and trust, with accountability, and with purpose that leads to high honor. It seems that if you've already been doing this, putting yourself forward and doing your best, at least intention-wise, and effort and sacrifice, and for the betterment of others, it seems that you are about to receive your rewards. So your next job, for those who are in search of it, calls for major changes that align with this newfound you, which in reality is that return to center, the liberated you, illuminated if you want, is now in the flow of abundance. All they see is opportunities to expand on that. This abundance, again, doesn't tie in with just finances or objects, or items, power, titles. No, it's not based on appearance, but intrinsic, genuine abundance. So resources, tools, anything to do with nature, health, resource management and so on, moral, intellectual richness and so on. So it's this reinterpretation of richness from someone who has struggled with lack. Now all the lessons that you've learned are to be of incredible help to those who struggle and need it the most at this time. So either way, you're going to find a position that suits you to perfection, and it will motivate you. You're definitely not fearful of the work or the challenge ahead of you. And you may be dealing again with those that struggle. So this also involves mental health, working with either the less fortunate, the disabled, supporting people either morally, practical wise. And there is a lot of homelessness going around, so we need a new resource management system and so on and so forth. You're going to be hands-on. So again, social work or services, healthcare, and so on. So your main connection will be someone who is aligned with the spirit of the new era. That's based on restoration, correction, truth, and so on. That's not corrupt, in other words, and has the power to either help, assist, guide, teach, inspire, or outright guide you through these steps. Okay. Either way, it's fulfillment of destiny, and it's also meeting your other half for those who do not have him, while you're finally on your path fulfilling your purpose. Okay, so you may work with children, families, so either mental health, social work, homelessness, addiction, to bring them out of poverty. Those who struggle with either crimes or life of crime and so on, unhealthy or toxic family environments and so on. Those who actually didn't stand much of a chance, as in they were much of a fruit of their environment and so on. It can be education as well. You can do that online, by the way. Yeah. So you're bringing, again, some light, however that translates, services, advice, help, wisdom. You can also become yourself, again, in awe of someone and inspire yourself to either write, travel, even if it's just with your mind, as in exploring other cultures, ideas, or online, and therefore reach a multitude of people. And it can be through either writing or, vlogging or whatever it is, teaching. Either way, this implies consistent devotion and hard work. And again, you're not going to perceive it as such because for you it's purpose. And you're willing to pull up your sleeves and do it. Okay, whomever this message is, whomever this message belongs to, I pardon. As I said, you are renewed, reborn. No doubts about it. And here's that 5. As I said, person is highly crucial to you. And I saw it somewhere. In your times of trouble, they may be extremely inspiring. And at the same time, then you yourself go on and help those who go through pretty much the same kind of a trial you did. That's why you needed to go through it. People in positions of authority or with the power to either, again, influence or determine this breakthrough. Finances are going to look amazing, whether you receive support, donations by someone who believes in you, or you receive a job or loans or are granted unto you. Either way, you're going to receive either investments based on the projects that you are set out to achieve, and that again you want to be hands-on because you're the one who actually starts up, right? You're the heart of this project. Now, no matter what happens, remember, certain ideas do not die. right? So make sure that you surround yourself as well and work with those that can carry through and continue to expand on the very spirit that you were moved by and started off this. So literally to pass on that flame, the knowledge, the light, as much as possible. You may also work with the rebellious spirits. False person. And marriage. Okay. So yeah, you defeated also what we call the spirit spouse, a type of a person or physically, but usually kind of comes through with the same energy, same spirit, same dynamics. So if you did have a type, it's also finally breaking that cycle. The covenant is broken. So hence, they hold no power over you anymore. This is when ultimately your person can finally come through. I see many Libra, despite all odds, as they're focusing on fulfilling their purpose here, healing and so on. They are meeting their person. I feel it so strongly now. It's been coming up to this sacrifice. Yeah. You are going to be in service, lovingly and wholeheartedly so. That's what your heart really wants. That's what you've always been feeling the call to do. Except again, this is a willing conscience sacrifice. You choose it. It's not imposed upon you. And it expects nothing in return. Other than the fulfillment of others. As I said, twin flame. Yeah. And ties in with work or something you're working in or purpose. And again, someone else. And the two are connected. There's the false twin energy, right? Whereas once you are able to defeat this, which is obviously stemming from within, perception and idealization and etc. Once you do the work on yourself, one comes to trigger that, and then the other. You see it? Mercurial energy, twins, because we had the lovers. You will be shocked at who your counterpart is. Now, this is not for the sisters that have yet to go through all of this process, whereas they've made a choice, ultimately, once they realized, to take responsibility and no longer live in lie, deceit, and find fulfillment and see the purpose and responding to their other passions, such as the heart of and calling that they may have, right? You don't put all else off because of something that failed to happen the way you wanted it. It's just not how it works. No one and nothing else does that in nature. You always staying true to yourself. That's what it means. If you cannot do this, then do this. See what you can do with, right? Work with what is. And for those sisters who are struggling to do that, whether they live in the past or anchored in controlling a specific outcome or trying to determine a path, or they will not be able to find their own because they're attempting to build it, to create it. But once they're trying to create it from, it's based on a past that they're misinterpreting. They're yet to fully process and understand and see the good in, right? The benefits, so draw the fruits from that past, the positive fruits. They're still stuck in the negative aspects, the painful aspects of it, then they cannot manifest this. They will get stuck in being attached to those who do not want it, do not see them, so they will fail to find their person. And if they're not careful, they will also fail to respond to all their other needs and calling based on their nature. So If you cannot eat, then you drink, then you work with what you've got. And if something is truly relevant, then you put all else off and focus on that. It's ultimately choices that you gotta make. But if you choose to ignore your own hunger, for example, in this case, it's that natural willingness to participate, to help, to assist, even at the cost of your own time. If you ignore that, then that's all your choice at this point. But if you do, and you choose to ignore that calling to participate, and what for? Nothing. There is no such thing. It's something, you just don't realize it and you don't know what it is. It's having given up without actually having given up. So choosing to give up while running around in circles and acting as if you were really trying. You are, but you're going around in circles. Maybe you don't have to try this hard. You just have to do that very thing that you're most afraid of. Or you just have to let go of that very thing that you're holding so strongly onto. Once you're someone else, then you're no longer gonna be able to connect or manifest those toxic. So my old self has got to go. However that translates, changes out of conflict or challenges. That's where they're coming. They're coming to reveal other aspects of you to you. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if this, I'm kind of, the fever doesn't really allow me to think very clearly. I'm sorry. It doesn't mean the message is corrupted. I'm just struggling probably to convey it because I need to pass it through a lot of filters for you. So not sure how many filters are there, what language I'm speaking anymore. I'm speaking in tongues. If I were, I would be rich. Who am I ready to forgive? I'm not what happened to me. I am who I choose to become. Is it time to let go, forgive, and move onward? Is your soul ready to forgive someone else or yourself? Forgiveness brings sweet release, freedom, and insight. Again, I sense liberation for you mainly. Look at it from their shoes. Notice how you grew and what you've learned. Who do you want to become? And how is this resistance holding you from what your soul really wants? Today's soul action is write a forgiveness letter, then practice the forgiveness prayer today while thinking of the person you are ready to forgive. And I would start with yourself. I love you. There is a self that's holding on because it's trying to say, almost in shame and in guilt of failure, or you gotta do this, it's gotta be achieved, because if not, who are you then? You're a failure, or you failed, or you didn't manage to do something. And right, it shows, it presents to you an image of vulnerability, or it's cowardice, or you gotta fight, for what? At what cost? And what am I really sacrificing here? And what for? Right? So you gotta release and forgive that self that you feel needs to absolutely either have or experience something, or convince someone or something, or prove someone to something to someone. For example, yourself, another self, the child that promised themselves that they would never allow anyone else to abandon them or ignore them. Forgive them. So prayer today, say the forgiveness prayer today while thinking of the person you are ready to forgive. And if you're projecting that onto anyone who ever hurt you, and again, forgive them. I love you, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. So it seems that you are going to meet the right person at the right time, most likely around November. If it doesn't happen the second week of October, it's going to be by November. It may be, by the way, initially, not even romantic. It has nothing to do with romance initially. It's built on different principles. The connection is made based on different, at a different level. Let's just say that. And your whole concept of marriage and connection, how it should look like, may be literally shattered. You have to reconsider it. Okay, we had this card over and over and over again. This Four of Wands speaks of astral and vagabonds. This is especially for the sisters, the spirit spouse. As for the brothers, this is who you were. You couldn't offer any stability. You had no foundations. Chaotic. All over the place. Confused. Okay. We're going to read this. Oi. It's true, I am here against everyone's will. Yet I've been granted the possibility to do so. However limited and problematic, right? So I used it. It doesn't mean I didn't know or I don't know. But you do know you also always had the freedom to not be here. What kept you here? Is it possible that inadvertently I have achieved my purpose? By calling on to your very soul? Hey, at least you weren't alone through it. But then again, none of us ever truly is. 13. I had God. Or at least you had me, you know, the one that you could hate on. I know it wasn't me, but yeah. Know that I felt it all along. I know it. I've always known it. It's painful as hell, but yeah. You are worth it, I pray. It's all on you now. Your choice. Again, if you want to succeed, be ready to lose. Yezalel, the God sung above all. The psalm is, I'm going to read first, we had Belet here as a challenge, but the one ruling over him is a cherubim. And the name means the God sung above all. Speaking of synchronicity, there was a teacher in Gaza with a guitar, and she said, our song can never be unalived, right? Deleted. Our songs are eternal. So she was trying to keep the kids positive and sing until they bombed them as well. They scattered. Once they got back together in a different area, she realized of how very few of them were left. And she made a decision. She said, it's just us now, and I will not replace those who are gone. I will not take other children into this little project that we have here. We're going to continue until there's no one left. Speaking of songs and sound and music. And even in the midst of war, sometimes all you can do is sing and dance. The psalm is Psalm 98, verse 4. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all the earth. Make a loud noise and rejoice and sing praise. People born under this angel learn everything with ease. Have happy memories and distinguish themselves through speech. Speech was always your unused quality. Yezalel governs friendship, reconciliation, and conjugal fidelity. You know, I used to be a mute. Never did I think I would end up talking here like a, mad woman. And be So ashamed of it, while at the same time answering the call to do so, no matter how I felt about it. So he governs friendship, reconciliation, and conjugal fidelity. For some, you're gonna attempt to reconcile and do it if you gotta, so that you can finally put an end, not just to this relation, to the illusion behind it, darkness behind it. Sole guardian of those born between 4 and 4:20 a.m. Moral guardian of those born on April 1st, June 12th, August 23rd, November 3 or January 14. Physical guardian of those born between May 19 and May 23rd. Now let's look at what you're actually coming to face here. See in it all its ugliness. Belet is a king, the 13th spirit. Is it the 13th hour, the 13th tribe, Christ consciousness, the golden ones, spirit of humanity, force that connects us all? Yeah. And a new world. There it is. This is also world, Sephira. A new level of existence. It has to be within because it's ultimately energy before it's matter. So we're manifesting it. A dream we dream together, as they say, becomes reality. Beleth is a mighty and terrible king who rides on a pale horse with musical instruments playing before him. He also uses music with a different intention, though. He lures people, right? Or keeps them mesmerized, enchanted. It's a frequency. You don't always have to hear it. And if you want to scatter them, frequency is also used. Like the ones we use for rats or vermin. He is very furious at his first appearance. That is, while the exorcist displays his courage. When the moment comes, that's when the final challenge arises, right? Then you see the very nature of the enemy that you are actually facing. You may have underestimated, others may have underestimated or overestimated you. That's also dangerous because they projected what they needed you to be, so they raise you, they idealized. It's kind of what someone did here in love. You saw qualities that weren't there. You failed to use your own critical thinking, ability to discern, to determine. You didn't see clearly. You didn't think clearly. You didn't really choose, did you? Some other broken self did it for you. You shadowed it. So, taking your power back, therefore. So, to do this, you're doing something right. If the ultimate enemy appears in front of you, it's like, wait a minute, all of this might for who? For me? I must be doing something right. It means I'm right to have answered the call to do, even if I don't understand. It's not about me. It's whatever I embody to someone, that if it warrants such a mighty response at the other end, it means you're doing exactly what you're supposed to. I know, it doesn't make any sense. So again, I do see you toiling and laboring. You have to be consistent once you do decide what you're going to do, okay? So he must hold a hazel wand in his hand, striking it outward toward the south and east quarters, making a triangle outside the circle, and then commanding Beleth into it, reciting the spirit's chain. You must receive Beleth courteously and do homage it. Your advice here to use tact and intellect, and don't challenge certain things outward or up front. Certain challengers, so to speak, right? But rather use tact and do it with work, with action, with consistency, with, right? Just keep doing your own part, almost as if you're trying to annihilate the darkness with the channel, with the light that you channel on your own end, right? Just limit the damage that they will attempt to do in trying to prevent you from doing so. Okay? That's all. Just claim your right to do what you feel called to do and preserve that. Surround yourself and count on those that you feel are disinterested on a personal level, at least initially, and they rather connect with you, with your very spirit, They recognize you as one of theirs, even though you may have a different nature and calling. It doesn't mean you cannot support one another, love one another. You become almost like the whole concept of the 12 signs. Out of each of them, there will be those who are called. Now, you are, remember, much like the apostles, you're supposed to be able to always be able to count on one another, support one another. If one falls, they will do their best to pass it on to the next, and the next, if they can, someone else may be able to assist the other one to get themselves back up. You just work as a team, even though not necessarily together. The whole concept of the 13th tribe is the best of the best, right? Out of, and the ones chosen, ultimately the lamb, the final sacrifice, that are gonna come specifically at this time. The lost tribe, the tribe of the lost, if you want to. They're the ones that are called. So they're gonna be coming from all walks of life, all nations, all lands, all religions, all cultures, all levels of preparation and intellect, and it doesn't matter. They're supposed to, the more diverse the better. So there's gonna be no clashing in ego. On the contrary, their power is unity in diversity. That's their power. What unites them is that force. Christ consciousness, light, love, truth. So receive Beleth courteously once this energy arrives, this one. Proposes, pacts, agreements, tries to hold you to some covenant, tells you what is right and what is wrong, and you can outright just see them immediately and say, yeah, nah, yeah, nah, nah, yeah, nah. Okay. And keep going on your way. The powerful Beleth exhorts all the love that may be, both of women and of men of women. They still use some form of a false light. They will try to lure you. Again, whether they the flute singer, or whether it's a jester, whether it's a demonic being, whether it's, they will use some form of a light, and you will not be able to see them for who they actually are, right? Not because they shape-shift per se, but they just emanate an energy that you ultimately, your own brain is going to interpret as beauty and light and magical. So be careful, because there will be the real ones you can immediately recognize, which on one end may appear as more severe, more, right? They take no nonsense and so on. On the other, you will have the more pleasant, the ones it seems like fun and they're so amazing, and yeah, don't fall for those, okay? These ones, they never speak the truth, nor do they have it within them. So the powerful Beleth exhorts all the love that may be. He appears for those who invoke it, especially due to the trial of fire, when they absolutely are moved by lust and passion. They gotta have someone to complete them, and that's not love. At that toxic level, at that destructive level, they literally inadvertently have the space. They're in that specific stage, whereas they invoke inadvertently, then they're vulnerable to this kind of a presence. Hence why you manifested bums and delinquents and criminals. But what ties in with this is your nature and your calling, constantly reminding you that you are here to participate in the final war and the great restoration, as in to help, to redeem, to heal. Except not these ones, okay? These were not savable. They were not yours, neither to help, nor were they seeking for your help, were they? Not really. So Beleth comes because someone really wanted someone's love, or whatever they defined as such, and so hence Beleth appears. Tells you a couple of lies, and then you realize that this is an unholy union, if ever. So until the master has had their desire fulfilled. So if you're wondering what spirit took a hold of you, it's him. It put you in a box, the wrong kind of a box. Saturnian energy, the unholy covenants and marriage. And here, let me finish. He is of the order of powers and governs 85 legions of spirits, servant of those born between May 19 and May 23rd. So, it's the final knowing the enemy. You finally know. There it is. Don't do anything foolish. Nothing is to be done. Recognize it. Say no. And move on. Eternally grateful for your service. And yeah. Blessed new beginnings. Love one another. Shalom, shalom.